Welcome, SENS Talk.
Russell winds in, feeds it back across the strike, and scores! Brady Tkachuk makes it 2-0. Claude Giroux, hit alone, scores!
Tim Stutzock cross, Tkachuk score! The captain, Brady Tkachuk, buries it with 1:18 to go.
See you later. Go, SENS, go. Welcome to SENS Talk. My name is Brandon Plant, and I'm your host. Today, we have a very, very special episode for you guys as we preview round number 2 of the Calder Cup playoffs as your Belleville Senators are off to round 2 against the Cleveland Monsters after an epic series victory over the Toronto Marlies, capped off by an incredible overtime winner by Garrett Pilon in Game 3 to take down the Marlies for the Belleville Senators. So in this episode, we are joined by David Foot, the voice of your Belleville Senators, the play-by-play commentator for the BSens for all their games. He's bringing some incredible insights to help preview this matchup with the Cleveland Monsters. And as well, we have Egor Sokolov joining the show to talk about the run-up to the playoffs, that first-round series, what to expect from the Belleville Senators in the second round, and much, much more. So with that, that's enough of me. Let's get to the interviews right now. All right, we are joined by David Foot, the voice of your Belleville Senators. David, long time coming. How are you doing, my friend? Nice to see you today, especially after a huge opening series victory over the Toronto Marlies. How are you doing?
Yeah, doing good, Brandon. Thanks for having me on. It's been a while, but now seems like the best time. So glad we're able to catch up and do this.
Absolutely. And I mean, look, the weather outside right now here in Ottawa, it's a little bit rainy. It's not great, but let's just say the sun was out in full force. Birds were chirping. Very, very euphoric after a huge victory over the Toronto Marlies this past weekend in an epic Game 3. I was there. Obviously, you were there too. We heard your incredible call for Garrett Pilon's overtime victory winner against Marlies in the first few minutes of the overtime period. I was there. Electric. I mean, David, how electric was that barn? Because you've obviously been to way more games than me, but that was frankly one of the best games in general I've ever been to. Not even kidding.
Yeah, no, it was outstanding. I mean, it's tough to beat an overtime elimination game on the best of days, let alone when the good guys come out on the right side. And, all the bounces that did not go Belleville's way in Game 2 in Toronto, they could have packed it in at that point and said, you know what, we're going to play Game 3, but obviously this thing's not going to work out for us. So let's just see what happens. But that's not what they did. They came out flying. Boku Imama scores inside the first 5 minutes, and that kind of just set the tone for the rest of the game. And then they get ahead by a couple to the Senators, and everyone's starting to feel pretty good.
Yeah.
We were up by 2, and at one point in the second period, I started talking about next round. Not that we were through, but just, hey, heads up, tickets will go on sale for next round after the game today. And then as I finish, Logan Shaw comes up the ice and buries, and we're right back in a battle again. So then you get to overtime, obviously, and Garrett Pilon scores the winner. What a moment. Like, huge moment, not just for this franchise, but I think for hockey in this community. The Belleville Bulls were here 35-plus years and won an OHL championship and a couple conference titles, but it didn't seem to matter how many trophies the Bulls won. As long as they were in the playoffs, the fans were here, and the belief was high. And we're starting to kind of see that same mentality. I think finally, after 7 seasons, people are really starting to back this team and starting to see that they can help make a difference in the performance of the guys on the ice. And the fans really do make an impact.
Yeah, no doubt about it. That kind of leads me to my first question here, because obviously, Belleville came into the league very close to COVID, middle, like the last few years was very weird because you had that buffer of COVID. You had the first year, you had the playoffs, and then you had COVID. So it's kind of been a weird first half decade or so in Belleville for the Senators. But, personally, I'm not there, but on the TV, when watching the games, the crowds look much, much bigger, especially down that stretch. That Laval Rocket game, for example, looked like a full barn. Of course, Game 3, full barn as well. It was packed. Like I already said, atmosphere is incredible. Do you really feel like that city right now is really backing behind Belleville? I mean, it seems like it, no?
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's, I've talked about it a lot on other outlets, on our show, on the Belleville Sens Entertainment Network at times, the Belleville Sens podcast, that it's taken this city and the greater Bay of Quinte region a little bit of time to come around on the American Hockey League and on the Senators, frankly. I've always been pretty open that this is not necessarily Sens territory. It is. By definition, we're in the Sens viewing region. We are smack dab in between Toronto and Ottawa, but there's a lot of people here who support the blue and white. There's a lot of people here who support the bleu, blanc, et rouge. There's a lot of people here who, for whatever reason, support the black and gold of the Boston Bruins. You know, everybody has such a solid allegiance to their NHL team that if they're not Senators fans, it's become difficult to get them to jump on board. Now, what fixes all of that? When the bleu, blanc, et rouge is losing, and when the guys in blue are losing, and the guys in red, black, and white are winning, fans are going to hop on board, and that's what we're starting to see now. You know, we almost, as much as we are affiliated with the Ottawa Senators, we are all one giant organization as the Senators.
100%.
We're kind of trying to get people to, in the back of their mind, think about Belleville, think about Bay of Quinte before you think about Senators, and just realize that this is the local hockey team, and we're out here representing the city and the community just as much as we're representing the Senators.
Well said and very, very well put. I would fully expect that attendance will continue to rise as the series continues. And this continues into round number 2 against Cleveland. First game is on Wednesday, puck drop at 7 o'clock on May the 1st, I believe, Wednesday. So that should be a very fun one. I know Cleveland is like the lone team, I believe, that the Belleville Senators have not had a winning record against in the North Division. So that will be a little tough for them. But, you know, Belleville played a very strong opening series. All 3 of those games, you know, you mentioned briefly there game 2. They did fight back, lost it in overtime. But, you know, all 3 of those games, Belleville certainly was the better team, in my opinion, especially against a team like, you know, the Marlies, full of experience. So what lessons will the Belleville Senators have to take going into the second round matchup? And more so, what will they have to continue doing to take down and pull off another upset over the Cleveland Monsters?
I think one of the big lessons is that if you play as a team, you're going to have success. One of the things with the Toronto Marlies, as the example all season long, like that's a roster full of good players. It's a roster of players. Now, they had some stretches this season where they were extremely good as a team, but that wasn't the way that the Marlies played consistently. The Belleville Senators have had no choice. You look at the call-ups, the injuries that we deal with every year, whatever it might be, there's been so much that they've had to push through, and they can't really worry about who's in the lineup, who's on the roster at the time. It's about the team doing what the team needs to do to be successful, and that's one thing that they've done really, really well this season. I think if there's another lesson, if you want to put it that way, that they can take from round 1 is that they belong here. They're good enough to be in the Calder Cup playoffs. Yeah, they got in the 4th seed of you know, a 7-team division and the 4th of 5 teams to qualify, but from number 1 to number 7 was like 8 points the difference, right? And yeah, Belleville had a losing record against Cleveland this year, but they only played them 4 times. They played everybody else in the division at least 6, if not 8, up to 12 times. So put 4 more games against Cleveland on the regular season schedule, let alone some in the second half when you've got guys like Bon Giovanni and Jameson Reese, etc., who have joined the club. Who knows? Who knows what happens at that point? And even then, and we talked about this on this week's episode of the Belleville Sens podcast, that, yeah, they were 1-3 against the Monsters, but there was 2 1-goal games, a 2-goal game, and a 3-goal game. And it's not like the Senators were ever whitewashed by the Monsters. They were never blown out. 1 game in Cleveland, I would say they didn't play very well, and that's why they lost. Otherwise, completely competitive, and they can find a way to solve Jet Greaves or Malcolm Subban, whoever ends up being between the pipes for the Monsters, while continuing to play the stalwart defensive style that they have from October. I'd like Belleville's chances in a best-of-5 series.
Yeah, I mean, look, you just said it yourself. Those 2 goalies are both goalies that have had not extensive experience, but they've played NHL minutes. This is a deep Cleveland team. But Belleville, Bon Giovanni, like you just mentioned, 3 points in the playoffs. Garrett Poulin, of course, that OTGWG, 4 points in the playoffs, 3 goals, leading the way for Belleville. Of course, Josh Curry, another big acquisition brought in the offseason to help bolster the veteran core of the team with 2 goals and 3 points total. Then you also got the young guys, Clevin, Ostapchuk, Holiday, all have 2 points each. Zabrango's been looking pretty good. So, you know, the big thing that I remember you mentioning, David, previewing the series with the Marlies on TSN 1200 and stuff, was the fact that the Belleville Senators, they have a good mismatch of young players and veteran guys, but the team is not the most experienced. That's just the truth. I mean, Garrett Poulin, for example, has won a championship, but if you look at the majority of the roster and lineup, no, most of them have not won Calder trophies or championships in really any regard, and that's normal for most teams. But when you're a team like Cleveland, who have won one recently, your team like the Toronto Marlies, who have won one recently, I mean, that has to feel huge for the Belleville Senators. That team in that locker room. They look at themselves. They took down the Marlies. They won a Calder Cup like 5 or so years ago. Cleveland not so long ago as well. So these are good teams they're beating. So I absolutely agree with you. I think Belleville has a very, very good shot to pull off an upset here against Cleveland. But, we kind of spoke about, Belleville. We know they play a tenacious game, very hard on the forecheck, very, very physical. Head coach Dave Bell wants that. We certainly should expect that going into round 2. But what should we really expect from Cleveland? How do they play? And what should we watch for from them, I should say, for Belleville and their defensive abilities?
Yeah, again, it's been a long time. I think mid-December is when we last saw the Cleveland Monsters, and they've probably been one of those teams that has maybe had worse luck in terms of roster fluctuation this season, because Columbus was just decimated by injuries for a real good chunk of the year. With that said, Columbus's season is now done, and the big guns, the likes of your Trey Fix-Wolansky, who even with the up and down was among the top scorers in the American Hockey League this year with 60 points in 58 games. You've got David Jiricek, the sophomore defender on the back end, who is outstanding, an all-star player in this league. Luca Del Bel-Beluz has been an impressive rookie for Cleveland this year. And then the goaltending is going to be their biggest strength. They're pretty well coached as well. Trent Vogelhuber, a former player with the Monsters, has done an excellent job with that team in the last couple of seasons. And they are a well-rounded group, I think, is the easiest way to put it. They're not a team that's going to come in and bash you out of the building. They're not going to, outscore you 8-2 out of the building, but they're going to be competitive. They're going to capitalize on any mistakes you make, and you just have to kind of play clean against them. And for Belleville, I think really take advantage of the first 2 games of the series here at home. Yes. These two cities, these two markets are on the complete opposite ends of the American Hockey League spectrum, where you go, 60,000 people in Belleville, 100,000 if we want to count the whole Bay of Quinte region, to 300,000 plus in Cleveland. Yeah. Our rink seats 4,400. Their seats 19,000 plus. Yeah. So for Belleville, and their fans are great and they're well supported. They love their hockey in Ohio. And I think the Senators need to make good on hopefully both games on home ice, but certainly one at least, and then see what they can do out in Cleveland with, with that big building and that atmosphere. But you talked about some of the young guys who don't have this Calder Cup playoff experience, but roll down the list of players on the Belleville Senators and how many of them have played, either in collegiate championships or major junior playoffs or championships or world junior hockey championships, World Cups, you name it. Like, there are guys on this team, almost all of them have some sort of big game experience. And I think you can lean on that at any time you're on a playoff run like this. So Calder Cup experience or not, it's also about, staying in check, making sure you just keep doing what you've been doing all season long. And I think the results will come for the Belleville Sens if they can do that, because they've proven that they can hang with anybody in this division.
For sure. And I mean, look, I think the deepest part of Belleville's team is the blue line. There's no doubt about it. There's some very, very good depth there. There's some NHL caliber guys on that blue line. Let's just be honest about it, right? So you have Larson, for example. I mean, this is a guy that's played quite a bit in the NHL. That's a very experienced guy back there. Gannett, Clevin, Brango stepped in nicely for Hetherington. I mean, they have some very good depth guys back there. I think at forward, I mean, once again, you mentioned some big guys for Cleveland. They just got some guys as well after Columbus's season, but so did Ottawa, right? I mean, Halliday, Crookshank's back now, Osipchuk, Clevin are really tearing it up. So Cleveland definitely is the expected winner, but don't cut out the Belleville Senators for sure. I think it will come down to goaltending, though. And you mentioned the goaltending for Cleveland is very, very strong. Greaves, for example, was with Columbus for essentially at least half the year, and Subban's bounced around the National for a good amount of time now. So those are 2 experienced guys. Where Ottawa, or sorry, not Ottawa. I'm so used to saying Ottawa. Where Belleville, where Bell Vegas, I should say, right? Where Bell Vegas. They have a solid goaltender in Matt Sogard, the best goalie, frankly, in franchise history. He struggled a bit in the first round with a 881 save percentage. What do you expect between that matchup between the two goalies?
It's going to be probably the number one or 1A factor in the series for me, whereas in the opening round, I don't think it was so much. And I wouldn't look too much at those numbers because it's 3 games and a couple of them went to overtime, and it's playoff hockey, right? So he had some bad bounces, specifically in
Agreed.
game 2. In game 1, he was fantastic, outstanding. In game 2, he made a bunch of really big saves, frankly, to keep the game close and to allow Belleville to get into overtime. Yes, there was that funny one that bounced off the end boards that he had some trouble with. But I think that was a bounce, not his fault, right? A lot of the situations he's been in, I would say, are not his fault. I mean, the Logan Shaw goal, game 3 that we were referencing a little bit earlier, if you ask him, he's going to tell you, yeah, I should have had that. I want that back. But that's going to happen to any goaltender, right? As the old cliche goes, it's about how you take the next shot after the one that goes in. And Matt Sogard has done so much work on himself in terms of his mental game and his preparation and not letting things get to him that I think that's going to be a big key for him moving into round 2. And, I mean, you mentioned the defense, just the group he has in front of him. Larson, steady guy. Tyler Clevin has been incredible. You mentioned the other guys, Sabrango. Nicholas Montempolo has been outstanding defensively for the Belleville Sens. He was our plus-minus leader this season. So there's enough guys in front of Sogi that if they can let him see the puck, keep those bodies out from the crease, I think Sogi's going to be all right. He's not going to put too much pressure on himself, and I think all these guys are just focused on sticking with the process, basically, that has led to this point. And goaltending is going to be important, but I'm confident in Sogi's abilities.
Couldn't agree more. I'm a big fan of the Great Dane. He's also a friend of the show. Actually, funny story. Last time he joined the show, he told us a funny story about how when he was in Cleveland, he ran into like some of the NBA guys for the Cleveland Cavaliers, right? So you never know. Maybe I think he said, and I'm paraphrasing, so don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure he said that he was mistaken as one of the players because he's so tall. He's freakishly tall, right? So
yeah, I believe it.
Hopefully they don't steal him from us. Hopefully he can stay with us and help us get that victory. But David, good luck with the series. Congratulations with everything. Incredible first-round series, first in franchise history. Let's see them make some more history starting on Wednesday, May 1st, 7 o'clock against Cleveland. Here's your time to plug stuff. Tell everyone where they can buy tickets and check out all your stuff.
Yeah. At this point, I would just take a moment to implore Sens Nation to make the trip to the friendly city. I mean, you did it last week. It's not a tough drive. The rink is literally right by the highway. Yep. And for games 1 and games 3, it would be amazing to have as many Sens fans in the building as possible. I'm sure we won't be overloaded by Monsters fans, which is good news. But tickets for games 1 and 2 or 3, 4, and 5. If you want to head to Cleveland, we could use the help there too. Ticketmaster.ca is the easy way to get it. If you're in the Belleville area, you can stop by the CAA Arena box office for tickets as well, or send an email to tickets@BellevilleSens.com. We'll have coverage of all the games on the Belleville Sens Entertainment Network, of course, and on TSN 1200 as well for game 1. I think they're going to jump in mid-coverage, and game 2 Friday night, they'll be on the air for puck drop at 7. So if you're in the Ottawa area, you can hear the games on TSN 1200 as well. Just get behind this team, man. They are a good group. They've been busting their butts all season long to bring playoff hockey to Sens fans. And if the guys in blue and white in the NHL go out this week, we're Ontario's team. So everybody might as well just get on board now.
Amen, David. That's the best way to finish it off. No matter what happens, we are Ontario's team. Couldn't agree more on that. David, thank you so very much for joining the show. Good luck with everything. We will be watching and listening for sure. We'll talk soon.
Absolutely. Thanks again for having me, Brandon.
Thanks again to David Foot for joining the show. It's always an absolute pleasure. We'll certainly have him on again soon. I hope you all enjoyed that, but stick around. We have a lot more content coming your way as Egor Sokolov joins the show to talk about their first round series victory over the Toronto Marlies, the incredible stretch drive to the playoffs before that first round series, the second round matchup with the Cleveland Monsters we'll preview as well, and much more. So with that, let's get into it right now. Enjoy. All right, I am joined by the Shark, Egor Sokolov, one of the best players in Belleville Senator history after a huge first franchise series win against the Toronto Marlies and an epic Game 3 victory over the Marlies in overtime. Egor, how are you feeling? What a moment, eh?
Yeah, man, definitely great. Feeling great. But like how we keep it in the dressing room, it's over now. We got a better job to do. So, it obviously wasn't, just felt really nice to enjoy, for a day. And we had a really good practice today. Now it's all focused on Cleveland.
Yes,
We've been like that whole year. Whatever happens, we always focus on the next day. But obviously enjoy yourself. So we definitely celebrated, and then but now it's main focus is Cleveland. So we've been preparing for that.
for sure. Like, what's the mindset going into that series with the Monsters?
I think the mindset is just to play the way we've been playing. Last now 13 games, last 10 regular season, we finished 8-1-1 for a reason because we were already playing meaningful games, right? So I think a lot of guys kind of just I think every single guy on the team progressed and knew how important those games were and how we were able to adjust our game and just how hard we were playing against, play against. So yeah, so playing those 10 games and pretty much every game was a must win was a huge for us. So the mindset is just to play the way we've been playing.
I mean, that series is going back to that series opening series against the Marlies. I mean, every game was chaotic. I mean, the first game you guys dominated. I mean, absolutely dominated. The forecheck was relentless. Toronto really couldn't get anything going in the neutral zone. Just completely took care of business. Game two, that was a playoff, your typical crazy playoff game. What was that one like, by the way? In Toronto, you have a weird bounce to end it, but you come back to tie it late. Garrett Pilon again. Of course, it's Pilon. This guy, we'll talk about him soon. Just an absolute clutch guy for the Belleville Sens. But that was a wacky game too. What were the emotions like going into the locker room after that one, going into game three, where of course things turned up on our side, but that was a tough one to bounce back from, no?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you don't ever want to blame anything on the hockey luck, right?
Yeah, of course.
I thought personally what I thought we outplayed them that game as well. I thought we deserved better.
Yeah, you have more
Yeah,
shots.
yeah, they you never want to blame the luck and stuff like that, but obviously, the second one when Clifford scored a bounce over Soga's stick, right? It's not your typical playoff goal and even overtime winner, right? Like we come out there with such a high emotions. We came back from, they just missed an empty netter, and then we come back and we're like all fired up, and then you get that kind of a bounce in your net. Like it's probably tougher than you think to come back from, but at the same time, we knew that, for two games we outplayed them and we deserved to win that game. And at the end of the day, we just kind of, it was one of those things. You get on the bus, hey boys, like let's move on. Like let's not be silent in the bus now for 2 hours. Like let's talk, let's have fun, let's laugh. At the end of the day, we know that we can beat them, right? And so before last game, I thought just there was no, how do I say, no panic in guys' eyes. I think everybody knew their job and we just got it done.
Yeah, I mean, look, you guys seem to gel very, very well. We saw that in that electric, playoff clinching game against the Laval Rocket, where you had that huge game-winning empty net goal. By the way, electric Selly, how hype was that for you? I mean, that must have been a great feeling, no?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, to me, it's like I'm at this point right now in 4 years where, to me, it doesn't really matter who scores, right? I think a lot of the guys on the team realize that it don't matter whose hero is, right? At the end of the day, we as a team moving on. So obviously it was special, just overall throughout the season, not getting a call up and stuff like that, but be able to come up big in those moments, and just be able to get the team to the playoffs. Obviously getting an A on the jersey was a big adjustment for me, and just being a leader. So that in those kind of moments, we kind of, just at the end of the day, everybody did their job, and we executed on the power play, and I scored, and obviously just scoring that empty netter was so huge, just because not play that meaningful overtime against Laval.
Yeah.
I'm sure they would have been, not tried to probably hurt us or something. Like it's just one of those things where they would be, sour. And at the end of the day, it's you can be on two sides of things in hockey, losing and winning. And at the end of the day, I know how they felt. I felt that before, and but yeah, like I said to you, it meant a lot. But just to me, I'm so unselfish that if it was whoever, it was Max Gannett scoring, that I probably showed the same emotions.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, look, when you were just joining us just before we started recording, you told me that this is your first playoff action like in almost 5 years or so, right? So, getting that huge comeback, unfortunately you did lose it in game two. That's the right mindset. That really shows a tough mindset for your for the Belleville team in the locker room there. So love to hear that. And then of course you saw it in game three, especially when the reverse happened where Toronto came back down 3-1 and then they forced it to overtime. You guys went to that locker room, and you came out. Garrett Palan flew out to the net off a big rebound from Halliday, put home the OTGWG, and that crowd went crazy. How important is it to you guys for the city of Belleville right now to pack that barn and get behind this team? Because I was there. That atmosphere was one of the best atmospheres I've been to in terms of a pro sporting event. It was incredible. Incredible.
Yeah, I mean, you want to feel like you're at home, right? You want your fans to be behind you, and that's where it comes up huge. You come out in overtime and that extra push, extra just go sense. It just helps to build that momentum, right? And I mean, can't speak enough about Garrett. He knows what it takes. He won the cup last year. He knows what it is, and you give a good player opportunity like that, he's gonna put it away, and that's what he did. And I didn't have no doubt once he got that rebound. I knew that he's putting it back of the net. So, but yeah, like you said about the atmosphere, I think it's phenomenal. It does what you want. I played in a lot of cities where the like Laval, like just take Laval. There's momentums where we would be up 3-1. They make a big hit and the crowd go crazy, and they just start building that momentum. And next thing you know, we're stuck in the D zone coverage for 10 minutes. So I mean, that's definitely a huge part of the game, and it's been surprising how great it's been. We don't get full sold out during the season, but we feel the atmosphere. But this is just took a like next level.
For
That's
sure.
I've never seen that game against Laval where it was a must win for us, so we don't have to play that second game in Laval, and try to beat them in their barn. And
Yeah.
the people showed up and they showed their support, and we got it done for them. And so yeah, starting from that point, and yeah, it just feels great when you can at some point in the game there's moments where you can rely on your fans, and they just give you that momentum. After a big block shot, or crowd goes crazy after big hit, big save, and then all the boys just turn it on, and then next thing we're scoring a big goal, and boom, it's a momentum on our side.
No doubt about it. And I saw you firing up the crowd, after the overtime winner from Pilon. Obviously, you guys went nuts. You went nuts, by the way, Igor. I loved it. It fired me up. I was right behind in the bleachers there for that third goal from Chartier, that big celly. That fired me up. I can't lie with you. So you always bring the energy, and it's infectious with the team. It's so clear. After there were some scrums after the winning celebration, I saw you firing up the crowd, which was awesome to see. I just wanted to ask you this briefly. I mean, we obviously saw what happened with Clifford and Bokwe Mama. That doesn't involve you. I'm not going to ask you about that. But how weird was that? Like, I'm sure you've never seen such a, frankly, unsportsmanlike thing happen in the line, eh?
Yeah, I mean, just yeah, like you said, I don't really want to talk about it. At the end of the day, what I in my head was, we need to do the handshake, because we played 13 times against them this year, and there's obviously a lot of, I'm not gonna say hate, but a lot of heat between two teams, right? We face each other so much, and for me personally, the last 4 years I played against Marlies probably over 70 times. So
Wow, yeah.
yeah, they know who I am, and they. So at the end of the day, I was like, okay, this stuff happens, but at the end of the day, we gotta make sure we shake each other's hands. And while that scrum was happening, I was just on my own page, kind of just like, okay, like we just won the series, man. Like
Yeah.
I don't need any of that, but it's just one of those things where I just want to celebrate with my team and my fans, and just enjoy the moment while we can, and then move on to the next series. So, and like you said, even that like Chartier goal for us as a line, we probably would have loved to score more. We had our opportunities. We didn't put it back into that. But at the same time, I thought that we had a really, really tough job before the series started, we had to shut down Shaw's line. And those three, Shaw, Bellows, and Abrazizi, Shaw scored 30. Abrazizi had a close to a point per game. Bellows scored 27 and 50 some games. So at the end of the day, I thought we've done our job. And then once Rourke scored, it was just like, okay, we chipped in offensively as well, which was huge. We're just overall confidence. I mean, I'm not saying it's like, a lot of people always think, okay, these guys need points, but there's moments in playoffs where, the top guys, they have a tough job too. People play a lot closely, and I personally knew that they were playing a lot tighter on me and Angus. I was really banged up after the series. I've never been that banged up after playing against Marley. So that one, at the end of the day, there's two sides. Like I told you before, it's losing and winning, and you just gotta have a respect for a game. Shake each other's hands and move on, right? So for us, at the end of the day, I'm saying at the end of the day so many times, but we're we're going to play hockey. We don't need any of that, right? We're going to play more hockey. And we got to focus on next series. So that was my mindset. I wanted to celebrate and enjoy, and and just go back in the dressing room, be happy with the boys and prepare for next series.
Yeah, that's why I asked you. I normally wouldn't have, but the fact that you were firing up the crowd, just trying to get the eyes off of that nonsense, I had to ask because I thought that was incredible, and it really shows your passion, and I think that's a beautiful thing. A thing that teams desperately need in the playoffs. So that was an interesting moment, and I like how you turned that into a positive. Because once again, just time to move on, focus on to the next round. And speaking of the next round, the Cleveland Monsters, this is a strong, strong team. They have some very, very high-end prospects on the blue line and the forward core. Their goaltenders are very tough. Their goalies that have played, Jet Greaves, for example, he's played like a good amount of the year in Columbus this year, and then Malcolm Subban's bounced around for a while. So, I've already asked about the mindset, going into the series. You're going to continue playing that tenacious game. But personally for yourself, what are you going to be looking to do against a really tough Cleveland team in terms of scoring, especially on that power play with your incredible shot?
Yeah, I think it's all about execution. The coaches have a lot of access to video. So we've been, yesterday because it was such a quick turnaround, David Bell brought us in yesterday just for a meeting. Okay. He just told us, hey, series is over. We're not even showing any recap of Marlies Senators. We're showing you what Cleveland Monsters do, right? And so we already kind of picture what their PK is looking, what their 5-on-5, and what their how they create their opportunities. So for us, it's like I told you, we don't need to adjust our game, right? Like we just got to play that. As much as it sounds like, chipping it in, but we killed Marlies by playing that way, right? Like,
yes.
So, like, especially, I will tip my cap to them. They adjusted their game in the second and the third game because the first game was not even close.
Yeah, no, like I said,
how
guys
we dominated, right?
Yeah.
So, so like I said to you, it's this moments of the year, this time of the year, it's not about a pretty goal. You're taking a 50-50 chance of dangling a guy on the blue line and it can end up in back of your net just after turnover. Teams are so good on the rush, and obviously Cleveland has a lot of talent up front, and they will make you pay. If you turn the puck over, they will make you pay. So for us, it's just play the way we know we can and take care of puck. And I think other excellent thing we've done is just staying away from all the play between the whistles.
Yeah.
You're not going to win. You're not going to win the game by out chirping a guy, by beating him up.
Yeah.
Or at the end of the day, for us, what matters is the result after 60, 65 minutes, 70, whatever it takes. So I thought I honestly couldn't tell you when the last time the Belleville Senators team had taken 0 penalties.
Yeah.
The last
they have to stay disciplined for sure. They got a lot of talent. I agree with you on that 100%.
Exactly. So, and teams are good. Teams are so good on the power plays too. They've been playing together. Some guys play together for 3 years. They feel each other, right? So, and it's a momentum thing too. You know, even if they don't score, but they create a couple chances and they feel good about themselves. You don't want to fuel the other skill players. Just they can make plays and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, so for me it's just play the game between the whistles. If you have to take a punch, take a punch. There was one moment in the game against Marlies where I got cross-checked back. Belarus pushed on my pants. I fell down. I sat on the ground because I fell down and I was like, I don't know if they're even calling a penalty, but they ended up calling a penalty. And and I took a couple extra punches in the back of my head.
Playoffs, right?
I could have gotten up and cross-checked him right across the teeth, and we would have been playing 4-on-4. I got up. I just looked at him. I said, smart penalty, man. And I just scared it away. And, we built the momentum. And I'm not sure if we scored on our power play, but I thought we just, it's just one of those things where you have to take an extra punch. You have to take an extra cross check just to, your focus is between the puck drop to puck drop, puck drop to puck drop. It's so for us, it's just to, stay course, trusted systems, and play our game we know we can play.
For sure. And I mean, once again, like you mentioned a couple of times, staying disciplined against a team like, Cleveland with a lot of high-end talent will be key. And I think that really shows a lot in terms of your leadership. The fact that that's a focal point of your game and your strategy going against the Monsters is don't take that stupid penalty. Don't punch back. Just play clean, play your game, and let things fall into place. I think that's the right approach, especially considering the fact that, against a Marlies team where you were considered the underdog, so to speak, frankly, you were definitely the better team in all three of those games. I might be a little biased. I don't know if you can tell. I like the Ottawa Senators, but I mean, you guys were definitely the better team in all three of those games. And yeah, Cleveland, they're a tough team, but Belleville with some reinforcements, with Crooker coming back. You got Stephen Holiday signing there. You got Bon Giovanni coming in the second half and dominating. I mean, this is a good team here in Belleville. And, you're talking about, playing whistle to whistle and kind of staying out of that. But I do wonder, Egor, playing in such a large arena there in Cleveland, does that kind of change your approach, so to speak, especially in a huge, huge crowd likely against Cleveland? There should be at least 10,000 or so there.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, that's what will fuel the crowd, right? All the stuff after whistles, that's what's gonna fuel them. So, like I said, just stay away from any of that stuff. Just focus on our game. Just don't get carried away. Don't lose the game. You go on the ice for 40, 35 seconds. That's your focus. Come back on the bench, talk to your linemen. What we can do better, what could have done. What you're gonna do next time. And yeah, so that's. I think the biggest guy that I've learned from is Josh Curry this year. He plays the game so well. He plays the game just so good. Like he comes to the bench. He's never mad. He's never sassy. He's never upset at anyone. He's just like, hey man, good play. Hey man, I don't know if you saw me, but I was there, and it's just like he never gets engaged in anything. He just stays 60 minutes focused on his game, how he's gonna do it. And I have a lot of emotions in me, and at some games where I just like I look back and I'm like, okay, I just let it slip away from me. Why did I let it slip away from me? And I just get carried away by emotions. And when playoffs started, I literally I was like, okay, I'm gonna be Josh Curry for next 3 games, or whatever it takes for us to win the series. And I just kept it cool. Took a lot of sloshes. Like I told you, I was banged up after series. Like I've
feeling
never been that
now, though.
banged
You're
up.
feeling good.
Oh yeah, I'm feeling great.
Good.
Just took an extra cross check, took an extra punch. At the end of the day, we got the job done, and then we're playing hockey right now, right? So.
And that's Dave Bell hockey, right? That's coach's hockey. I mean, I've watched you guys from a good amount of the year and, of course, in the playoffs. And, you're very tenacious on the forecheck. That's no doubt about it. You guys, win those board battles. You mentioned it yourself. You chip it in. And, a lot of teams kind of just float into the corner. No, you guys fly into the corner. It's unbelievable, especially when you're close to the ice, how you guys fly into that corner there. Big reason why you beat the Marlies, no doubt. You beat them in the board battles. But what do you think about Dave Bell and his, Coach Bell and his first year as the head coach and his approach and the way he's really galvanized these, the Belleville Senators into the playoffs and to advancing past the first round for the first time in franchise history. What do you think about Dave Bell?
He's been great. He's well, I know him now for 4 years, and he just didn't change. He was the guy. When he was assistant coach to head coach, you always can just go in his office and have a. I couldn't even tell you how many conversations I had with this guy one-on-one, just talking about life, everything in general, and he feels you too. Like, he knows. Like, I don't know about the other guys, but obviously, he knows me for a while now, and he knows how I am. And there's some days where I come at the ring grumpy, and he knows right away. He just, like, he gives me one of those, come, go sit down in his office for 10 minutes, talk it all out. And next thing you know, I'm coming out with a smile. So he's honest with you. He always will tell you, what if you could have been better, if you could have been, and he also will give you your credit as well. Like,
So straight shooter.
He's gonna tell you did good. But he's also gonna tell you did bad. So I think that was his biggest thing. And obviously, first year as a head coach, but amount of adversity we faced as a team. A lot of call-ups, a lot of injuries, and lots of ups and downs. We at some point we lost 7 in a row, then we won 7 in a row, and then we lost 5 in a row, then we won again 5 in a row, and there's other things coming in where we had no bodies to play, but then we had too many bodies to play. We had veteran problem, and he had to manage it all. And I thought he just did a phenomenal job with it. Just stay collective, stay with the course. And, he knew what's our identity as a team. We didn't, I'm not going to take anything away from anybody in our team, but we didn't have Josh Norris in our team. We didn't have Drake Batterson in our team. We didn't, it's not would be, we were never go out there and, okay, we're going to outskill this team. For us, the first mentality was we're going to outwork this team. And like I told you before, in general, just playing the meaningful games, 10 games left into this regular season, that just fueled us. You know what I mean? Just fueled us. And that's why, and obviously now you're looking at our lineup. I don't think that lineup was ever in the regular season altogether combined. And we're missing a huge piece as our captain right now as well.
For sure,
right?
Hetherington, for sure.
So, but
DeBrango stepped in great though. I mean, he stepped in, looked flawless.
Don has been phenomenal. He's been, he's just, what you're gonna get out of Sabrango. He goes out there, plays hard. He'll always step up for you. He will always, one of the best teammates ever. So, yeah, like I told you, if you look from game 1 to 72 and our starting lineup in the playoffs, I don't think that lineup ever played together in a regular season. So,
like father, like son, I suppose, because that was certainly the story in Ottawa too. It's crazy how unfortunately this organization is injury struck, but hey, that's when you have guys like Bongiovanni, for example, step up, or Holiday, or you, for example, step up and make those big goals, big plays to help the team push through. And you know what? Like you said yourself, that's exactly what you guys have been able to figure out for the entire year. I'd have to ask you this, by the way. I see the hat. Did a friend of the show, Joey DeCord, give that hat to you? I can't tell if it's Seattle or not.
No, it's a
sick hat.
No. It's the East Coast lifestyle.
Oh, okay. It's a nice hat.
Yeah, it's a really nice hat. Yeah.
I mean, we're kind of matched in terms of the hat. I mean, I love a black cow.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Great.
You gotta look good for the summer and spring here. I just had to ask that. Last thing I'll ask, Egor. I mean, big first round win. You got a big series coming up. You have 2 big games at home before going to Cleveland. What's your message to the Belleville Senator faithful?
Just get behind us and support us the way you've been supporting us, and we'll get the job done. And I have a lot of belief in the group, and I thought we gelled really well together. I think everybody accepted their jobs and what they do best on the ice. That's the biggest part. And I can count on every single guy on the team to step up when the big moments. So yeah, so at the end of the day, just stay behind us and support us while we do this. And it's a lot of fun. It's the most fun I've had in last 3.5 years. And so I'm looking forward to tomorrow and see where it takes us.
Yeah, well, we'll certainly be, rooting for you guys. First game is tomorrow, like you just mentioned, Wednesday, May 1st, 7 o'clock puck drop. Be there if you can. Egor, we will be listening, watching, and cheering for you guys. And hopefully we'll be able to talk after round 2 and hopefully another series win. If not, we'll talk to you soon no matter what. But Egor, always a pleasure. Thank you so very much for joining the show, and good luck in the next round. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
I don't know about you, but I feel far more prepped before tomorrow's second round matchup with the Cleveland Monsters kicks off. So thanks again to David Foot and Egor Sokolov for helping preview the second round matchup with the Monsters and help discuss and break down what a crazy first round matchup that was with the Toronto Marlies. So with that, thank you all so very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about the second round for your Belleville Senators. Are they going to win? They're going to lose? Let me know what you think down below. I'll see you all tomorrow night after Belleville and Cleveland take on one another in Game 1 of the second round of the Calder Cup playoffs. With that, thank you all for watching. I'll see you all tomorrow night. Go Sens, go!